how can you appreciate light with no darkness? So when you meet good people, when you can set up a deal or have a conversation or even break bread with somebody from a whole nother part of life, a whole nother culture, you get that much more wisdom and understanding. When you pass judgment and you stay in your bubble in life and you think that your reality is the only reality, you get that much shorter of the great things that the universe has to offer, that the world has to offer. So sometimes you gotta incline your ear to people in all types of different walks of life. This is a melting pot of all types of different culture, man. And if you short yourself for that, you don't get the fullness of life. That's it.
So what would be one action that you think could be taken, either politically and by governments or just by everybody people on the streets, that would make that more possible?
What Barry is doing right now is definitely the key. Look at me. Barry looks nothing like me and Barry are almost physically the complete opposite. I'm a little younger, he's a little lighter than me. But look, we were able to meet on this ground right here. So I commend Barry, the producer, the man behind the camera, for getting things like this done, because this is the actions that need to take place. People need to be able to communicate with one another.
Hi, this is Barry Simon here, Conversations for Peace, coming to you from Santa Monica, California, right in front of where some of the signs had been painted from the looting that took place just a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, the level of protests and rioting, looting, etc., that took place a few weeks ago, and peaceful protests on the most part, by the way, that have been taking part all across our country, is really highlighting and bringing clearly to the surface like never before the level of police brutality, and really beyond that, the degree of racism in our country, the pervasiveness of white privilege, how unconscious it is that it exists. I experience it. I'm aware of my own white privilege. I've never really felt kept from a job because of the color of my skin. I've never been pulled over by a policeman because of the color of my skin and committing no crimes. There are a lot of things in our society that we need to heal. The United States in the world has lost a lot of its luster, unfortunately, and my commitment is that through Conversations for Peace, we can clean up a lot of that. And hopefully there's a tipping point where we can begin to love and appreciate each other for our differences, not use our differences as reasons to hate or reasons to push people away. So today, I'm looking forward to interviewing Donna Dymally, whose son was murdered 22 years ago, July 2nd, by the police. And we'll talk a little bit about that and how she survived that, and her commitment to creating a better future for all people. So we're here with Donna, and I really thank you for giving us some of your time today. And I know that your son was murdered about 22 years ago by the LAPD. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
My son left home to go do a good deed for his younger sister. She was going to visit my parents in Ohio, and he decided to get her some extra spending money. He left for the bank. He came into my room and said, "Goodbye, Mom. I'm going to go to the bank. I'll be back." We never saw him again, not even his body. For 5 days, I waited on my son to come home, and on the 5th day, my parents called me from Ohio and told me that my son was killed from less than a mile from my home in Los Angeles. To this day, LAPD has never notified me. I went to get my sons to identify his body at the coroner's office. The coroner's office refused to allow me to identify my son's body. Later, they said I never came to claim it, and they had cremated it, which was not true. I went to get information. It took me 9 months just to get a police report. There was every roadblock that could be put in front of a parent who had lost their child was provided for me. I mean, I wouldn't have had to jump over hurdles just to find, in my search for the truth, and find out what really had happened to my son, who had been a law-abiding citizen and never to be seen again. And I just pray that this situation never happens to anyone else. It's something that is so unbearable for a parent to endure. And we have to make the police accountable to us, because they've been able to get away with a lot. That many people, especially in '98 when I told people thought that I was delusional. And now people are seeing exactly what kind of stronghold the police have, and that they haven't been accountable to the people, and they're our servants and they must be accountable to us.
How have you used that to heal yourself and the pain of losing a son?
You know what, Barry? It was a long process. I mean, this was something that was just unfathomable that it could even happen, because you think it happens to those people. Maybe they're not law-abiding, maybe they don't do this, but my son had done everything the right way. I've been brought up by law-abiding parents. I came from a law-abiding home. No one had police records. No one was in gangs. None of those stereotypes they put on us, and it happened.
He graduated at age 15 from Fairfax High School.
Fairfax at 15, he went to school. We had no problems. He worked a job. He worked for LAUSD. He also worked for the city at the Eleanor Roberts Swimming Aquatic Center. I mean, he had done everything the right way. I never had one day's problem out of this young man.
Did I read that he was accepted to UCLA?
UCLA and UC Santa Barbara. Full scholarship.
When we look at this whole area of police brutality, I would like to think that most police are not aiming to kill, and yet there are too many that seem to get caught up in a moment and shoot. And to me, it's inexcusable. They should be trained not to do that. But nonetheless, it seems to happen way too often. How do you think this situation with police brutality can be resolved?
First of all, I think we need better training of our officers in terms of community relations. And not to look at us, especially as a black person, as dehumanized. They seem to dehumanize us. Officers cannot be complicit. When they see something going wrong, they must speak up. When they see that among their co-workers, their colleagues, they must stand up. And you cannot legislate that. That has to come from our consciousness and our hearts. So I don't know. We got a long way to go. We got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Do you think this current heightened awareness of racism, white privilege, white supremacy, the extent to which it's really bubbled over these last couple of years in particular, do you think that's been there all along and it just suddenly came out more big time? And how do you see it calming down, if you will?
I think one of the best things is kind of ironic, but the pandemic, because people had time to really look at things and examine things. And generally, we're so busy in our everyday doing our everyday chores and taking care of our everyday tasks that we fail to really examine and reflect. And I think this time has given us that opportunity to reflect on what really is going on, what's affecting all of our communities, because we're all tied in this together.
If you were able to wave a magic wand and have all people from all races, all faiths getting along better, what would that make available in your community?
Unlimited possibilities and potential. I mean, there's so much. If we work together, we can do so much more. We can move forward so much better. And so cooperatively, we got to learn to collaborate with each other. It's essential for all of our survival. We're at a tipping point, and I hope that people can wake them up and see that we don't have any time to waste. The time is now. There's no other way to do it but now.
Time is now. We don't have time to waste. And I really think those are very poignant comments, that here we are, July 2020, and the level of hundreds of years of racism, part of what existed from the moment this country was founded and before, and it's gone on since. And whether it was even the Civil War didn't resolve it. The Civil Rights Act in the 60s didn't resolve it. And here we are now with it boiling over again. And maybe, hopefully, like you say, we're at a tipping point and we can begin to move forward peacefully with appreciation for each other and in communication, because I do believe that in communication, anything can be worked out. So that's part of our Conversations for Peace intention, that people come together and talk.
For common goals, common solutions. Yeah.
Common goals, common solutions. You heard it here today in Santa Monica, Conversations for Peace. Thanks very much, Donna.
So much. Thank you for having me.
Maya, Mark was your brother, yes? And tell me a little bit about how you knew him as a child, what he was like.
Oh, Mark Ralph Simmons was a wonderful brother, very devoted and loyal, and a great service not only to his sisters but to his mother. My memories of him, we would go to the grocery store. He was the first one who taught me about coupons, the skating rink, and we would have spiritual lessons together. He would teach me about the Bible, and then we would do a trivia. He would reward me with whatever, little treat that he would have.
What was it like for you as a 13-year-old when you found out that he'd been murdered?
I would silently have my own moments. I would never really express them to my mother and sister. To not have him around and not have him apart, it's devastating.
What we have is an opportunity, once again, to come to some completion, to come to some closure, and to realize that his life was not in vain, and that what you're carrying on opens the door for others to realize there is justice to be had, and that justice is possible, and that the society can come together, and police can learn, we can learn, us white folk can learn a lot, and there's a lot of opportunity that comes kind of through these, like the silver lining of these clouds.
I don't think there's really no coincidence in the time and matter of Breonna and George Floyd and other Black Lives Matters cases and family members that have died. We're just happy to be here. We're just happy to spread the peace and love, and that we just need to continue to be awareness and be love to everybody.
There you go. Just be love, be appreciative. We don't have, none of us have a guarantee of a tomorrow.
No.
And so just again, I want to thank you, Maya, for being with us today. And thank you for continuing to seek justice for yourselves, for your mom, and for the world.
Yes, and through this movement, we're trying to develop a documentary, and we hope that you provide support. We also have a GoFundMe page. You can go on to Donna Dymally Facebook, facebook.com/Donna Dymally, and she has several share links, and anything as small and as big as possible. But however, just be aware that all donations will proceed our documentary to continue awareness about Black Lives Matters.
Great. All right, excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And like for all of our viewers today, you can go check out Donna's Facebook page. You can contact us at conversationsforpeace@gmail.com or visit our website, www.conversationsforpeace.com. Thanks again for tuning in. Barry Simon, peace to all of you.
Stand up for peace on earth, yes, we're gonna find the way. Stand up for peace on earth, and we're gonna start today. Stand up for peace on earth, yes, we're gonna find the way. Stand up for peace, stand up for peace, stand up for peace, peace today. Stand up for peace, stand up for peace, stand up for peace, peace today. Stand up for peace, stand up for peace, stand up for